I love the monsoons. The bright green grass, the lovely cool breeze, and the fact that it's not hot and sweltering, so you don't end up smelling like a pig, which the wife always appreciates. Now, to celebrate this lovely glorious season, what we've done is we've got a bunch of really capable SUVs to a really challenging off-road location. The idea is to put these machines against Mother Nature and see how these machines hold up. Welcome to the CarWale Off-Road Day. But we wanted to do more than just have fun with these machines. So we brought in some science disguised as tests. There's acceleration and braking in the wet to test each of the SUV's supposedly smart off-road modes. And then there's the slalom, a test so slippery only the most agile and sure-footed SUVs have any chance to excel at. We also have a test to gauge each of the SUV's ride quality. And all it takes is a bumpy trail, a beaker full of water and a nervous co-driver, and all of this being driven at just 20 kilometers an hour. And then finally there's the scary hill climb, slippery, rutted and strewn with rocks threatening enough to rip off an SUV's undercarriage. Momentum would be key here, and so there's a kink in proceedings to slow things down. Now this is the first of our two soft-roaders, and even though it's got Jeep on its bonnet, it's not as hardcore on off-road as Jeeps of yore or Jeeps as we know them. So it is a monocoque which uses essential drive that goes to the front wheels, but it has some electronic help. So when the going gets rough or slippery, you can select between mud, snow and sand, and that'll transfer some part to the rear wheels. How do we expect it to do? Well, not probably as good as the serious off-roaders in this test, but because it's a Jeep, we do have high expectations.
Not bad, not bad. Quite impressive for a manual. Yeah, so it's actually not too bad because, yeah, it didn't move around too much and the grip was pretty good. Okay, I stalled. The gearing is quite tall on this and the clutch is quite springy, so I don't know where the bite point is, so it might struggle, and it doesn't have a low range gearbox. Big one. And it didn't do as well as we thought it would, mainly because the gearing is quite tall.
So we've had some issues with the Jeep here, specifically the slalom test. Now it's got the difference between the gearing between first and second is stall. So that meant shifting into second would stall the car, and in first, because the power is going into the front wheels, it would just understeer. Even though it did well in the trail test, it was in the hill climb that it really struggled. Now with rain and deteriorating conditions, the soil washing off, the rocks coming up, the low chin on this car meant that we had to abandon its hill climb run, otherwise we would have scraped the front. The Jeep Compass then works if the conditions are slushy like you see here, but anything more serious and it will struggle, and probably that's a reflection of it being a soft-roader, unlike other little more hardcore off-roaders that we have in this test.
The TATA HEXA is another one of our body-on-frame vehicles. Now this might look like a people mover to you thanks to its MPV's design, but make no mistake, Tata's equipped it with some pretty decent off-road hardware. It's got all-wheel drive and it's got a super drive selector to take you off the beaten path. But how does it fare off-road? Let's find out.
Turn! Turn! Photographers are running for their lives. I think it's the momentum, it's the weight of the car which keeps pushing it forward, and there's not much traction, and also the ABS is cutting in so much. So it's not really helping in stopping the car in slush. Don't worry, it should happen, don't worry. Nothing? Wow, this guy's doing well. Alright, we are really stuck. I hope we get out of this.
The HEXA is Tata's most modern and tech-laden SUV. And how did it perform in our tests? Well, for starters, it didn't do too well in our braking tests. It just took way too long to stop with the ABS just not kicking in too early. There was also the hill climb where the HEXA really struggled, and we had to really put a lot of effort to make it go all the way to the top. But on the positive side, it does have extremely good ride quality, and our tester said it performed flawlessly on the trail tests. So basically, if you have a big family and you want to go mild off-roading where most sedans and hatchbacks wouldn't go, the HEXA fits the bill very well. The Toyota Fortuner has always been the true blue SUV thanks to its rugged body-on-frame underpinnings and 4x4 capabilities. And now its new avatar gets more power and more tech as well. Let's see how formidable of a rival it is in our tests.
Not too bad, not too bad. Struggles to get off the line initially because there's so much weight, but once it's on the move, once it gains momentum, then there's a lot of traction. It actually is what was expected of this car in terms of braking. Definitely performs. But what really plays to its advantage is the automatic gearbox and the low range gearbox. There's lots of traction and you can really control the speed and angle, so that's really nice. Oh yeah, oh god. Yeah, it does, especially from side to side, that's the problem. Woo! We have made it!
Toyota Fortuner turned out to be quite a mixed bag in our test. Thanks to that linear power delivery, it came a surprising second in the slalom test, and it was also the only other SUV that managed the arduous hill climb. But it managed to be in the bottom rung when it came to the trail test thanks to that annoying rocking motion. What that means is the Fortuner has very good off-road capability, but it's not the best when it comes to ride quality. All said and done, the Fortuner is a very capable SUV and we were definitely impressed. Volkswagen's recently launched SUV, the TIGUAN, had us impressed when we put it out on the road, thanks to its brilliant motor and commendable on-road dynamics. But in the end, it's an SUV, right? So it's supposed to go off-road. And to tackle that problem, Volkswagen's loaded it up with electronics to make it easier for the driver. So let's put it to the test and let's find out.
It's just the electronics, the way the ESP works. So, I mean, it's surprisingly quick off the line. Braking! Oh, the ABS. It's not really well calibrated, but still it did a decent job. Nothing?
No, you told me it's going well. Yeah, we have some spirit, finally.
So yeah, as expected, the TIGUAN has done really well. Basically the electronics, the gearbox, the quick steering, the lightness really helps.
The Volkswagen Tiguan performed quite well in some of our off-road tests. It managed to brake extremely well in the slush and even managed to slither its way past through the slalom tests. But it failed to make the hill climb, and that's thanks to its low clearance. The Tiguan then is a brilliant on-road SUV that can go off-road, but you need to be careful lest you damage some of its expensive parts.
The V-Cross is the cheapest off-roader we have here. It's also the only pickup, but I won't discount it, not just yet. It's got some solid hardware in there. It's got body on ladder frame, it's got lots of suspension travel, which means lots of wheel articulation and lots of grip. It's also got a low-range gearbox, which will really help in tractability when the going gets slippery. But I am worried about that long wheelbase you see there, and its weight, and the fact that it's got really lots of steering locks per lock. Let's see how it does.
What's the speed?
20.
And even when you shift, because it's got a low range gearbox, even if you shift up quickly, there's a lot of torque. So it doesn't get bogged down and keeps up the momentum.
That was a
But yeah, definitely from feel at least, it felt the best. The pedal feel was also the best amongst all 5 wheels. And my spotter's down. This is incredible. I mean, I think this is by far the shortest. So, yeah, the tires really help, and also I think the ABS calibration is such that it really stops in a very short distance.
So as it turns out, there really wasn't anything to worry about when it came to V-Cross's wheelbase, its weight or its tedious turns lock to lock, because it did really well in our tests. Under braking, really short distance. Around the slalom, in quick time, and it's all mucky and slippery, and it's a big car, but it still managed it. But when it came to hill climb, I mean, it absolutely crushed it. It has the grip, it has the clearance, it has the approach and departure angles, and then you've got this low ratio gearbox, which gives it really good grunt. If you're looking for a serious off-roader in this size that can carry people, is a lifestyle offering, I think the V-Cross really hits the nail on the head. So we've come to the end of the day, and it's been a fun and challenging one. But I'm really happy to note that our soft-roaders have done well today. I mean, they've completed most of our obstacles. Just makes me believe that technology and electronics can really take you places.
But in the end, it's these old school body on frame behemoths that really breeze through. Yes, your monocoque SUVs did do the mild off-roading decently well, but when it came to the really difficult sections like our very, very difficult hill climb section, old school is still the way to go.
But now it's time to go home. Now it's time to hit the expressway. I wonder what you drive, because I know what I will.